Hello and welcome to the Glory and Praise Show and on CatholicSG Radio. It's been a while. My name's Andrea Chang and of course, Keith Newbronner joining me. In, of course, the picture you'll see Father Iggy. We'll be with him in just a while, but let me introduce the show, okay? So, Off the Pulpit is a program where members of our clergy come to help discuss and, of course, share matters of faith with us. And in this more informal setting, if you can call it informal, but yes, we hope to get to know our priests a little bit better and, of course, to hear their personal perspectives on these matters of faith, or maybe they may even share with us their own faith journeys as well.
Now, it's been some time already since we've heard the announcement at the end of May of the appointment of His Grace Archbishop William Goh to the Sacred College of Cardinals by His Holiness Pope Francis. Now, Cardinal-elect William Goh will be Singapore's first cardinal. That much we really are sure of, but many of our Catholic sisters and brothers are still not too familiar about what a cardinal really is and what the Cardinalate is all about. In fact, we have received quite a lot of questions regarding cardinals, and we have tried, in the Archbishop's Communications Office, to put out different bits of information across all our channels, but there's still more we'd like to share with you.
So today on CatholicSG Radio, we're going to dig a little bit deeper for an understanding about the history of cardinals in the Church, the role that they play, and we'll also look at the Sacred College of Cardinals and how they actually help the Pope in his mission of governing the Universal Church. And to help us with that, of course, as I mentioned, great pleasure of ours, we have Father Ignatius Yeo. Now, Father Iggy is parish priest, actually he's my parish priest now, parish priest of St. Anthony of Padua, and he's also professor of liturgy at the St. Francis Xavier Major Seminary. Father, thank you so much for joining us as always.
Yeah, it's always a joy to be back with both of you.
Thank you. Okay, so Father,
Yes.
we have to ask you, how did cardinals come about in the Church? And when were clergy actually first called cardinals?
So the origin of the Cardinalate cannot be traced back to a very specific single event. In fact, it is a revolutionary process that started in the very early centuries of the Roman Church. Its origin blurs with that of the Roman Presbyterium, or the priests in Rome.
Right.
The Presbyterium evolved through centuries. Within it, the most important members of this group of the Presbyterium, or the priests, who headed Titular churches, meaning one of the oldest churches in Rome, and these churches which gradually acquired prominent roles, these were what we would call the pre-cardinals. So they were prominent churches and headed by, therefore, prominent clergy of Rome. But the first time that the term cardinal appeared was in the Liber Pontificalis, which is the pontifical book, the book used by the bishops. And it's found in the biography of Pope Stephen III, when in the Roman Synod of 769, it decided that the Roman pontiff, which is the Pope, should be elected from among the deacons and cardinal priests of these prominent churches.
Right.
Now, so after centuries, the office of the cardinal continues to be modified, redefined, according to the papacy, to the Pope, as the most important component of a living community. They say probably they're called college. Collegial means friendship, brotherhood, fraternity.
Right.
It's a living community that exists in the Roman Church. And so you see, the term cardinal was initially used as an adjective. Cardinati or incardinati, which qualified the priests of a titular church to which they were assigned to help in the beginning, in liturgical functions of one of the four major basilicas in Rome,
Right.
St. Peter, St. Paul, St. Mary Major, and St. Lawrence. St. John Lateran in Rome was reserved for the bishop cardinals of the suburban dioceses surrounding the city of Rome. Thus, these priests were first to be referred as presbyter cardinals.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but the term cardo meant actually a beam used to fortify a structure. And so a cardo also in plural cardines was the north-south street in ancient Roman cities and military camps, and it served as an integral component of military and city planning.
Oh.
Thus, in the course of centuries, the liturgical functions of all these cardinals gave way to the administrative and governing roles in the church. Another meaning of the term cardo is hinge. The Pope is the hinge of the door of the church, which opens or closes them. Thus, in this respect, because those who work in close collaboration with as titular priests cardinals in the city of Rome and the bishop, which is the Pope, cardinals were known to be also as fortifying hinges.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it really shows that they are, in a sense, also the cornerstone also of the church, right?
Corner hinges.
Yeah, corner hinges,
It's a-
beam,
Yeah.
and
Really supporting and
Supporting.
fortifying.
that's right. I think that is the image that
Yeah,
we're
and the
getting.
door, and the door is of Christ, no? Right?
Yeah.
We enter.
Yeah. Not blocking the door.
No,
Allowing
exactly,
the door to open quite freely.
absolutely.
And holding the door up. The door, the
Yeah,
the
that's
door
true.
will collapse.
That is true. Okay. Those are some lovely images to
Correct.
start off with.
Yes.
So allow me, Father, to get down to the details in a way, right? So what exactly does a cardinal do? What exactly is his role? And how many cardinals are there in the Sacred College of Cardinals? And also, as if it isn't very many questions at one go, please also explain whether all cardinals are allowed to cast a vote at the conclave to, choose the next pope.
So, in order to answer this question, right, we have to look at the Code of Canon Law. And it attributes to the College of Cardinals the task of helping the Roman pontiff, which is the Pope, to deal both with the questions of the greater moment and the ordinary daily administration of the Church. This is in keeping with the original function of the College of Cardinals. In the first centuries of the Church, the Bishop of Rome was surrounded by his presbyterium, the local priests and deacons, along with the bishops of the diocese, the neighboring Rome. The presbyterium helped the Pope carry out his duty as bishop of the capital city of the Roman Empire.
Right.
As in, those duties over the centuries begin to be increasingly involve all of Italy, then all of Europe, and then the entire world, right? Some of the priests and deacons who assisted the Pope began to be chosen from among non-Romans.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Today, the body that was once limited to membership of the clergy of the city of Rome includes members from dozens of different countries, and one of them now will be Singapore.
Yeah, absolutely.
More significantly, the College of Cardinals has one overarching task, which is to elect the Bishop of Rome, a new Pope. This task has been entrusted exclusively to the College for almost 1,000 years, since 1179, about the time the college structure was really formalized. So, beginning from the medieval centuries, there were not about more than 24 cardinals for this task, the original number of the titular churches in Rome. Now, with the passage of time, however, the number grew first to 70 in 1586, then to 120 under Pope Paul VI. Even this limit has been exceeded, however, because of the rule introduced by Pope Paul VI, in his apostolic letter in Gabricentem Aeternam, dated in November 21st, 1970, that the cardinals can no longer participate in the papal conclave after they turn 80. This means then there can be as many cardinals older than the age of 80, but fewer than 120 under the age of 80. In this way, Pope Paul VI's 120 cardinal limit is technically preserved by being seen as applying only to voting cardinals and not to all the cardinals.
Right.
And so with the consistory to be held in August, there will be a total of 143 cardinals, but of which 27 will be non-voters and 116 voters, then therefore keeping to the 120 cardinal limit.
Right.
So the college's role is clearly limited to advising the Bishop of Rome in the exercise of his universal Petrine mission, and their authority is derived entirely from the Pope. And so the cardinals are, as it were, the Pope's men.
Wow.
His advisors, his helpers, counselors, friends, his eyes and his ears around the world, and sometimes also his voice. Why? Because they share very intimately in his mission, because he has chosen them for that specific task, and only because he has chosen them.
And it would make sense. I mean, now that the church is so huge, 1.3 billion
Around the world.
in the world, around the world, so many different countries. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, that really makes us Catholic, right? Truly universal. And so I guess that's why, I mean, we can understand why the College of Cardinals is has to be so close to the Holy Father.
And very diverse, right?
Yeah.
Different ideas, different languages, and wow.
And also to share with the Holy Father about really what's going on in all corners of the earth, all ends of the earth. And like Father mentioned, also to represent him when he's not able to. Because even though he does travel a lot, he can only be at so many places.
It's
by
nothing
himself.
like hearing it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, right? Okay, so now we sort of understand the College of Cardinals a little better and their role. But Father, can you explain, there are still ranks within the Cardinalate. So you have cardinal deacons, cardinal priests, and you have cardinal bishops. One would think, I mean, they're already all cardinals.
Yeah.
So, and it's already, in a sense, a high rank, so to speak, or an attainment of service, in the church. But so explain the difference, why these different roles had to be sort of designated, so to speak.
Yes, it's a very good point that you brought up, because you say, what mean cardinal, priest, deacon, and bishop?
Yeah.
They are not ordained as cardinal priests or cardinal bishops or cardinal priests.
Right.
These are just ranks.
Ranks.
Right?
Okay.
And so therefore there are three ranks of cardinals, right, as you mentioned: bishops, priests, and deacons,
Right.
reflecting the fact that originally, in fact, not all the cardinals were actually bishops or even priests, because it started on the Roman Presbyterium, as we said earlier.
Right.
So the cardinal bishops actually include the 6 titular bishops of the suburban sees, the episcopal sees that actually border the city of Rome, and also in the Eastern Patriarchates. The cardinal bishops are engaged in full-time service in the central administration of the church's affairs and departments in the Roman Curia.
Okay.
And in the revised Code of Canon Law, the position of Eastern Patriarchs as heads of sees of apostolic origin with ancient liturgies is fully recognized. They are assigned rank among the cardinals in order of seniority, following the same suburban title holders.
Right.
Cardinal priests, formerly the priests in charge of leading churches in Rome, are bishops whose dioceses are outside of Rome.
And so our
Archbishop fall in this category.
and so he will be a cardinal priest.
priest. That's his rank.
Right.
Cardinal deacons, formerly chosen according to regional divisions of Rome, are titular bishops assigned to full-time service in the Roman Curia. So they hold the title of bishops, but they work in the Roman Curia. And so they are known as cardinal deacons.
Right.
The dean and the sub-dean of the college are elected by cardinal bishops
Wow.
and subject to the approval by the Pope from among their numbers. The dean or the sub-dean, in his absence, presides over the entire college as first among equals, in absence of the Pope, that is. The current dean of the College of Cardinals is Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re. Right. Pope Francis approved his election as dean of the College of Cardinals on the 18th of January 2020.
Wow. Okay, so that's not so very long ago, actually. Wow.
And I like also that it's mentioned that even though he's the dean, it's first among equals. And I guess amongst all the cardinals, also regardless of their rank, they're all still cardinals. So between themselves, it's not like, hey, I better, It's just...
Archbishop.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cardinal is cardinal. Huh? Okay, so Father, it is said that cardinals help the Holy Father to govern the universal church, but the curious side of me is wondering, how do they exactly do this when many of them are not in Rome itself?
So a cardinal is part of the college, right? Part of the Roman Curia. And now the latest constitution of the College of Cardinals found in Pope Francis's document, Predicate Evangelium, defines the Roman Curia as the institution which the Roman Pontiff, which is the Pope, ordinarily makes use of in the exercise of his supreme pastoral office and his universal mission in the world. It also states that the Roman Curia is not placed between the Pope and all other bishops of the world. Rather, it is at the service of both according to the modalities that are proper to each. In this way, as an appointed member of the 16 dicasteries, which is the institution of the Roman Curia, the cardinals then fulfill this function as members or maybe presidents of all these dicasteries.
Right. So they sort of take up certain appointments within the dicasteries.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And that's how they help the Holy Father govern and also, I suppose, administer.
Dicasteries are like some small, in our parishes, small committees.
Really? I thought they are ministries. Some say, of course, like
The
ministry,
of course, at that level, then
that level is quite high, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's not kucing kurap stuff also as well.
Certainly not. By the way, if you've just joined us, welcome to Off the Pulpit. We have with us Father Ignatius Yeo, Parish Priest of St. Anthony of Padua. This is a special consistory series as we familiarize ourselves a little more about the history, role, and the College of Cardinals. This discussion about cardinals is, of course, sparked off by the announcement at the end of May, Pope Francis's appointment of our Archbishop William Goh to the Sacred College of Cardinals.
And so the consistory of the installation of cardinals is on the 27th of August. And so we thought, it'd be useful for us to share with everyone what the Cardinalate is all about now that Singapore has its very own and very first cardinal. Now, Father, I need to ask you this. Who can be elevated to the rank of cardinal?
So that again, we have to go back to the Code of Canon Law, right? It governs the church. And so the Canon Law states that those promoted as cardinals are men, firstly, freely selected by the Roman Pontiff, the Pope, who are at least in the order of the presbyterate, which means must be ordained priests.
Must be okay.
Yeah. And especially outstanding for their doctrine, morals, piety, and prudence in actions. Those, however, who are not yet bishops must receive episcopal consecration. Code of Canon Law 351 states that.
Okay.
And so any religious or non-diocesan clergy are eligible besides the diocesan clergy, but as the Code of Canon Law says, they must receive episcopal ordination or consecration. However, the preacher of the papal household,
Yes.
Father Cantalamessa, the OFM Capuchin, when he was raised to the rank of cardinal at the consistory of the 28th of November 2020, he made a request to the
Not to
Pope
receive.
not to be ordained.
And
bishop.
consecrated a bishop.
Yeah, so he had to make that request, and then the Pope dispenses him.
Was it because of his age?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And since he was only going to just preach, and so, you can ordain him as a bishop just only because
Right.
a formality, then. So he said, what's the use?
So you can remain a priest
Yes.
and still be a cardinal.
Yes. But you must,
Exception. Okay.
there's exception must be made. You must apply for a dispensation.
I see. I
Okay.
see. And so it also means that you can just be a priest and still be elevated without episcopal. You need not have been a bishop at all.
Yes.
And then you can.
Then
still
you
be
become
raised.
a cardinal, they have to ordain you a bishop.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense, I suppose.
Well, Father, when someone is elevated to the rank of cardinal, a prelate is also assigned a titular church in Rome. Firstly, what is a titular church, and what is the significance of this designation?
So as we have explored earlier, right, the
Yeah.
titular church means a title church. Titular means title. Right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so titular churches in Rome, meaning you're given a church in Rome with the title of this church now belongs to you.
But it's almost like for sure, Nila.
Yes, and no, because historically it was the part of the Roman Presbyterium, right? All cardinals are aggregated, therefore. They are added to the clergy of Rome. So that's why they give you a titular church in Rome. So now you're part of the church in Rome.
Okay.
Okay.
Even though if they have never set foot in Rome,
That's
but then
right.
at least you're now the Pope says you are part of my clergy.
Wow.
This aggregation, this adding to is signified by the assignment to each cardinals a titular church in Rome. So
Actually, that's a very nice gesture. I mean, it's like, the Holy Father saying, come closer to me in that sense.
and you have a home here, lah.
Yeah.
Your home
So
is
if
here.
a cardinal goes to Rome, he has a church
He
to
has a
celebrate
church,
Mass.
yes,
And all.
that is his church.
I see. So not just for sure lah. Okay.
But,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, but he is the titular head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May not be there all the time, but he has a home and he.
Which brings me to ask this question. So, because we have many Catholic sisters and brothers totally confused, because they think now, that actually my question really is, can someone be a cardinal and still be an archbishop?
Yes.
And this is
Yeah, they
coming.
say, oh, poor thing, are we
Yeah.
going to lose our bishop?
Yeah, exactly.
no."
That's the concern.
The word that is going around is he's being posted out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not army lah. He's being posted out. So, I mean, so can someone be a cardinal and an archbishop at the same time?
Yes. Just like the cardinal in Chicago, he is also
Yeah,
cardinal archbishop of Chicago and also a cardinal in Rome and does a lot of work in Rome.
That's right.
Right. And so similarly, our cardinal elect, and when he becomes a cardinal, he will still remain as our archbishop
Yeah.
or the bishop of Singapore, right?
Right.
And just as we have said earlier in the earlier question, right, bishops around the world are appointed. It's not unusual, right? They are appointed as cardinals, and then they are ranked cardinal priests, yes, and given a titular church in Rome, and they are part of the College of Cardinals.
You see?
Right.
So in a sense, he has two dioceses. In a sense. in a sense.
And he has two churches, that his cathedral
That's
here
right, the
and his
cathedral.
titular church there.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's so interesting, and I mean, like I said, for that to happen, when they are aggregated into the clergy of Rome, it's really like the Holy Father saying, "Yeah, come closer to me."
Yeah.
You're part of my family, you know.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a very beautiful gesture. But now I need to ask, and I think a lot of people would like to know this also. I mean, the College of Cardinals, as you have explained, are really the Pope's men. So when the Holy Father does pass on, how does the college work, and how does the conclave come about?
So when the Holy Father passes on, or in recent times you have experienced the Holy Father retiring,
Retired,
then the College of Cardinals are called together to elect a new Pope.
Right.
And this whole process is called the conclave, right? And so after
Everybody is cardinal, no? So who runs the show?
yeah,
so to
so
speak?
by the
Maybe it's
dean
the
of the
dean,
cardinal,
yeah, first
Okay,
first
so
among
he
equals.
is first among equals.
So he will preside over that.
Right.
Yeah. And we saw that when Pope John Paul II passed on, Ratzinger was the dean of the College of Cardinals, and he
That's right.
presided over them. He presided over the funeral liturgy. Yeah. But just to backtrack a bit with regards to how this whole process
Yes.
happens, right? After let's say the Pope dies, right? The public will hear, therefore, a lot about this thing called conclave, right? And this is where the cardinals come together to vote for the next Pope. The word conclave in Latin is translated to be known as with a key, conclave, right?
Oh.
As traditionally the cardinals were locked in a room until a decision is made with no contact from the outside world. But before the conclave can start, if the Pope dies, then there is a period called Novenalis, which is a 9-day period of mourning before the process of electing a new Pope. Now, since the year 1492, the papal conclave has taken place inside the Sixtine Chapel.
Right.
Traditionally, the cardinals were locked in for a duration for the voting of a new Pope. Today, they are housed in the Domus Sanctae Mater, a kind of papal hotel that is adjacent to St. Peter's Basilica. But they still cast their vote inside the Sixtine Chapel. So the Sixtine Chapel is the setting for the conclave, right? Which was built between the years of 1480 to 1482 under Pope Sixtus IV as the Pope's private chapel, as well as to serve as a new location for voting and electing a new Pope. But today, the Sixtine Chapel is also one of the biggest tourist attraction in the world, right?
Absolutely,
People
yes.
flock to the Vatican museums to see Michelangelo's frescoes, and the ceiling tells the story of the Old Testament, right? And we see in the Sixtine Chapel the beautiful painting of the Last Judgment.
Yeah.
Now, with regards to voting, why does the voting for a new Pope take so long? Well, there are a number of reasons. This is mainly because the cardinal who is to become Pope must attain a 2/3 majority of the votes.
Right.
If this is not achieved, the process will take place again. And voting takes place usually twice in the morning, twice in the afternoon. All the votes are then burned. In the past, to quicken the process, the cardinals will be only allowed one meal a day. And if the voting is longer than 3 days and lasted further to 5 days, the cardinals will only allow bread and water. This enforcement is to make them fast. It's not
Yeah, also to pray, I suppose,
pray.
as well.
not to make them deprived of food. And
like,
say,
get your act
quickly get a
together,
Pope.
people.
Yeah, get your act together, man. No. Yeah. And I spoke about the burning of the
Yeah.
Yes.
the votes. And so then, of course, there's this black and white smoke after the Pope dies. So when the Pope dies, a temporary stove and chimney are attached to the Sixtine Chapel, and the stove serves to burn the votes, but it's smoke meant to alert the pilgrims who are around St. Peter's Square when a new Pope is elected. The black smoke, or the fumata nera, is sent out to inform the world that the Pope has died. And then the dead Pope's ring and the ring of the fisherman, right, is burned in the stove after it's removed from the Pope's finger and is crushed by the Camerlengo, one of the cardinals. And also a black smoke is sent up after a failed vote. They had a voting and no one got a 2/3 majority.
Yes.
Now, when a cardinal receives a 2/3 majority vote, a white smoke is sent up, or fumata bianca, to inform the world that we have a new Pope. Now, so what happens after a new Pope is chosen? Once a new Pope is elected, he is asked by the Cardinal Dean, do you accept to be the Pope? Meaning, do you accept this position as the Pope? Then he will ask him also, and of course if he says yes, Eccepite, I accept, then he asks, quo nomi vis vocari, meaning, what will be your name? And so that is why Pope Francis said Francis. Right? And then the Pope goes to this room called the Room of Tears. It's located just at the door, at the bottom left-hand side of the Last Judgment, inside the Sixtine Chapel. Here, the Pope is expected to be overwhelmed with such emotion. And he starts to cry. That's why it's called the Room of Tears. Actually, it's a place where he goes to prepare himself and prays before he goes on to the balcony to address the entire world, waiting to greet the new Pope at the famous balcony of St. Peter, looking out to about almost 100,000 people. They can spill into St. Peter's Square. And then the cardinal deacon or the cardinal proto-deacon appears at the balcony. We have seen that, you can find it on YouTube, right? And he declares, Annuncio in Gaudium Magnum, meaning, I announce with great joy, Habemus Papam. We have a Pope.
And then the Pope emerges. Emerges and
everybody cheers. The bells of St. Peter's are ringing.
It's such a momentous occasion, actually. But, just to go back a bit. So this poor man, actually, how can you imagine? So that means every cardinal who goes into the conclave already has to have a name ready in his head of what he wants to be called.
No, he also has to be ready. He might be elected.
Exactly. So, it's like he already has to have an idea, right, of the name he wants to be called and all.
And our cardinal will be a voter,
Yes, exactly. The first time we'll have a Singapore vote.
Yes.
So that's actually, quite exciting.
I think so. There's always been this air of mystery around it, right? Because we watch the news coverage, and then for a few days sometimes, they have the cameras just looking at the chimney and then they're wondering what's going on, what's going to happen. But I imagine also on the inside, maybe if you are that person who is, in contention and one of the front runners, you hear these murmurs and then you start to feel like, is it me, Lord? Really? So there's a lot of prayer, discernment, fasting, and all of that going on.
I'm sure there's also discussion also amongst.
Yes, there must be a process of.
Informal discussions.
Yes, informal discussions. Or murmuratio. I think.
Yes.
Well, very interesting. I guess we'll find out more of these perspectives also in good time.
Indeed.
When perhaps Cardinal-elect does have that opportunity.
We can do an interview with him.
Yes. Of course. Yes. Of course.
But meanwhile, it leaves us to, with a lot of thoughts already from this particular interview. And we're grateful to Father Ignatius Yeo for sharing all these with us. To catch up on this interview again, because there's just so much information, right? And it's so good, and you want to share it with your friends, I know. You can do so by listening to our Off the Pulpit podcasts on our CatholicSG Radio app, on Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts.
And of course, we want to thank once again Father Ignatius. Father will be back next week for part 2 of this consistory series on cardinals, and we'll bring you more details then. In the meantime, my name's Andre Achak, with me, Keith Brunner, and of course, Father Ignatius. Thank you very much for joining us here on Catholic SG Radio.